Defence against the Dark Arts. Hi, my name is Charles Robertson and I'm here to discuss how the devil might attack you. I have experience of some of these attacks. Like most people, I did not believe in the devil and these attacks have cost me dear. I will explain each of the 7 forms of attack and for interest, what the nearest equivalent in a Harry Potter world might be, and finally, how to defend against it. If you're not sure whether this has any relevance to you, let me tell you that you're being attacked all the time by the devil and you need to know how to defend yourself. If you don't think the devil exists because you can't see him, you might want to see my video, Does the Devil Exist?, which looks at evidence. In Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Gilderoy Lockhart and Severus Snape start a dueling club. After the 2 teachers and Malfoy and Potter have thrown each other about the room, Snape suggests that perhaps it would be prudent to first teach the students to block unfriendly spells. Evil action can be divided into 7 different groups. Some of these are similar to unfriendly spells in Harry Potter. Here are the first 6 in order of seriousness: temptation, vexation, oppression, obsession, possession, and subjugation. The 7th one is infestation, which operates on a place, not a person. Temptation is the one we're all familiar with. It affects everyone, including Jesus. Get behind me, Satan, being an indication he thinks Peter has voiced the suggestion from Satan. Jesus does not think Peter is Satan, although he seems to be addressing him. Adam and Eve are the well-known victims of the devil tempting humans. Simple things can be temptation. You see an acquaintance of yours in a queue and you join them, rather than join the back of the queue. You witness a car accident. Nobody is hurt, just a bump. You drive on instead of remaining in case a witness is required. These are the various forms of temptation. You would be irritated if someone did it to you, by which the demons seek to erode your faith, hope and charity and steal us away from our accepted standards. In Harry Potter, the nearest spell is the Confundo charm, used by Hermione to confuse a Quidditch player and by Newt to confuse a French policeman. This spell confuses and disorients the victim, making them more susceptible to making hasty or irrational decisions. Remember, everyone, even you, are affected by this intervention. Vexation is when evil are external to the body and fighting with it. This results in physical cuts, scratches, writing on the skin, bites, beatings, bruises and broken bones. Vexation will not end in your death. The devil wants you to escape from this torment by committing suicide. That, however, will just trap you further. In Harry Potter terms, only one curse causes a scar on your forehead that looks like a bolt of lightning. Avada Kedavra. This is one of the 3 unforgivable curses. Almost all the examples I can find of vexation involve religious figures. It would seem that without the strength of faith, vexation very quickly becomes possession. Born in 1962, Fra Elia is a priest marked by stigmata, that is, carrying the wounds of Christ. He was suffering from vexation as recently as 2020. Born in 1887, Padre Pio is a remarkable Italian priest who died in 1968 and again had the weeping stigmata wounds. He is known to have suffered from vexation from the age of 24 onwards. He was canonized a saint in 2002. The 3rd one, oppression. This is when demons try to ruin a person's exterior life, i.e., financial difficulties, broken relationships, sickness. If you believe this is happening to you and it can be demonstrated by a long run of bad luck, be very careful in the decisions you make. From Harry Potter, this could be the love potion. Its name makes you think it is a good potion, but it is evil. The potion is administered by someone who wants to manipulate someone to their detriment. One can guarantee the application of a love potion will not result in happy ever after. Obsession is when evil are inside your brain and operates like a parasite. They succeed in inserting thoughts into your brain and the victim is unable to expel them. You may find yourself agreeing with the thought just to get rid of it. It persists if you disagree. But agreeing only traps you further. Because these obsessions are inside the brain, they can be confused with psychiatric illness. This makes the diagnosis of the condition difficult. It also means that someone suffering demonic obsession, psychiatric care has to be chosen carefully. Most psychiatrists don't believe in the afterlife, and a mistaken diagnosis will always be made because they don't believe that demons can be involved. Like many diseases with incorrect diagnosis, this is incurable. This is the problem that I had. Evil would wake me up at 5:30 in the morning and immediately attack in the half-waking, dreamlike state, telling me that God didn't love me, that I was worthless, and as such I should kill myself. This went on for 4 months, but I found the problem lessened when I said the Lord's Prayer every morning as soon as I started to wake up. In Harry Potter terms, I'm linking this with the Cruciatus Curse, the one that puts into a person's brain the idea that they are in pain, when in fact there is no action on the body generating that pain. Is obsession a serious problem? Father Chad Ripperger, an American exorcist, estimates, based on his experience, that about 25% of the people living in the United States are suffering from demonic obsession. Whilst this may be an overestimate, it does mean that this action is widespread. If his percentage is applied to the world, 1.8 billion people suffer from it. Possession is the well-known one, when evil control your brain and your body. Made famous by the films Exorcist, The Pope's Exorcism, The Medium, Evil Dead Rise, Uma, Talk to Me, It Lives Inside, The Conjuring Universe, and so on. No end of films it has spawned in Hollywood. I personally think these filmed examples are indicating very strong possession. I believe that there are different degrees of possession, and I think evil will choose whichever one they want to use to achieve their aims. The devil likes to stay hidden, but a full-on possession is too easy to diagnose. Speaking in a language completely unknown, possessing superhuman strength, body levitation, a change in face shape, an aversion to sacred objects, convulsions, loud cries, and a knowledge of the occult. Any one of these would cause concern, but to see them all in the same time is inviting an exorcist to banish evil, and if successful, the demon is banished. What then is the motivation for the demon to do it? Does he get a thrill from being banished, like a dolphin in the bow wave of a ship? Much better for a demon to infect someone to a lesser degree and not invite an exorcism. Exorcisms are rarely given, and perhaps because of Hollywood interest, publicity about them is deliberately suppressed. Many years ago, I was out walking with a friend when I felt my consciousness move to the right, and I felt I was watching what was happening from outside my body. I heard myself telling her something which I would not have done consciously, and then my consciousness returned to centre. This seemed to be a possession, although fairly benign, but scary to be conscious and not to be in control of your actions. I think that many examples of schizophrenia, when an ordinary person switches to something evil, can in fact be a less extreme example of a possession, and although drugs are going to help, psychologists should be open to the influence of demons, because the victim is not going to be cured by only drugs. Because it can force you to do things against your will, the Harry Potter equivalent curse is the Imperious Curse. You're being controlled like a puppet. The sixth type is subjugation. This is when a person literally makes a pact with the devil or a demon and submits to his lordship. This often starts off as promised but ends in destruction. In the picture, the two wives are about to be buried with their husband. It started as a marriage. It ends in murder. It is rumoured that John Lennon, seen here on the left, is reported to have made a pact with the devil before he and the Beatles became famous. The pact involved a period of 20 years. Almost 20 years to the day of the pact, John Lennon was shot. Long after Mike Chapman shot John Lennon, he told a journalist that he believed he was possessed and he had carried out his own exorcism. He thought 6 entities left him when he did this. Subjugation was much more popular in previous centuries than possession. In the 1592 play, The Tragic History of the Life and Death of Dr. Faustus by Christopher Marlowe, we have a main character who signs a pact in blood with the devil. Interestingly, at one of the performances, William Prine records the tale that actual devils once appeared on the stage, to the great amazement of both the actors and spectators. Some people were allegedly driven mad, distracted with the fearful sight. I cannot see an equivalent Harry Potter spell for this. However, adherents of Voldemort had the Dark Mark, a snake with a skull head, tattooed on their arms. a contract of sorts, proving that there is nothing new under the sun. The illustration of the dark mark that you see here appeared in a Bible from about 1800. The last type is infestation, and this is different to the others as an individual is not being targeted but a group. This is where evil resides in a place. The effects are felt by multiple people, but they are not followed out of the place. This manifests itself as unexplained noises, objects moving around, funny smells, odd lights, or animals that react as if they've seen someone. There are many haunted areas around the world. Here we have a reason. The problem is not infestation if someone moves to another place and the effects follow them. In terms of Harry Potter, we can represent infestation with the house elf, Kreacher. Kreacher never leaves his building and makes noises and causes pipes to bang. Having found the 4 spells, a potion, a character, and a mark that match in the Harry Potter world with the attacks that evil use, why am I comparing the actions of the devil with Harry Potter? It's very difficult when you first come to the actions of the devil to sort out what these actions do and realize that there are many methods of attack. By comparing it to Harry Potter, we can relate these actions in the spiritual world to an alternate material world, making it easier to understand. So, what can we do about them? The first thing to understand is that the devil's main advantage is that we don't know he's there. Indeed, science is the friend of the devil because the current scientific-driven society we have is helping to hide the devil. Just believe that he exists. That alone will reduce his advantage. The second thing is that you now know the way in which he operates and can watch signs that you're being targeted. The third thing is that he knows what you are thinking, but you don't know what he is thinking. That's atrociously unjust. There is no activity on the earth where an adversary can read your thoughts, no way to keep a secret or spring a surprise. Like a wild animal who has to expend a lot of time and energy watching for predators, you must do the same. We are not used, as humans, to having predators. We are not used to being vigilant, but you must change your mindset to be more vigilant so you are not surprised by the attack. When the attack comes, and it may not come in this lifetime, you might ask for help. This help must come from Spirit. Only Spirit can properly see what is going on. As a material person, you can discern very little in spirit. The picture is of Ronald and Nancy Reagan visiting Pope John Paul II. The Pope said, "The existence of evil spirits requires in us a sense of vigilance in order to avoid giving in to their allurement." Exactly what we have just seen. He went on to say, "We can be sure that the victorious powers of Christ the Redeemer encircles our lives in order that we ourselves might be winners." I understand what the Pope is saying, and for Christians this may be true, that Christ protects you from the devil. However, I do not think that evil is limited to Christians. It seems endemic all over the world. If evil, the devil and hell were unique to Christianity, then as I see it, Christianity will be a poor choice of religion. Why? Think of the carrot and the stick. If you are with God, then good things happen to you in this life, the carrot. But if you lose your way, you go to hell forever. A very vicious stick. Why choose a religion that allows the option of hell? Would I not be better off following Confucianism? I could follow God's commandment and live a satisfactory life and then return to heaven without any chance of going to hell, because in my religion it does not exist. Given this logical choice, either evil exists in Confucianism or Christians have a risk that followers of Confucius do not. Eternal damnation is a huge risk that Christians take on. This dilemma is only resolved if all religions, including atheism and agnosticism, have an evil side. So, how can we get the help we need? Irrespective of your religion or lack of it, call on God, quickly. God is on your side. God loves you. God will not abandon you, not even when you are in a state of sin. But he has given you free will. This means he can't interfere in your affairs unless you ask. In our Harry Potter domain, what are we doing when we call on God? We are asking something to be around us and protect us. Sounds like a Patronus. But instead of saying Expecto Patronus, try Help Me God. Although you can say Expecto Patronus. He understands that you're asking for help and have given him permission. That's all that matters. I don't know which phrase will cause the most people to stare at you when you shout it in the street. When you get the chance, strengthen it. call on God in prayer. The Lord's Prayer contains the line, "Lead me not into temptation, but deliver me from evil." This is a powerful invocation asking God to remove the devil's influence from you. Do not think of the Lord's Prayer as a Christian prayer. Yes, Christ introduces us to the prayer, but it is for anyone to use to speak to God. Compare it to Hail Mary. Mary is being asked to intercede on your behalf with Jesus, who is 1/3 of God. Mary is only relevant if we believe Jesus is the conduit to God, and Jesus and God won't listen to you directly. I believe a Buddhist would find the Hail Mary prayer objectionable, but not the Lord's Prayer, which is appealing directly to God. So in summary, like the castle in the picture, you have 4 levels of defense. Your first defense against evil is to believe it exists. Your second defense is to know how he works. Your third defense is to believe that God exists and can help you. The 4th level of defense is to pray to God in whatever way you feel works. And I mean works. After you start a regime of prayer, the disturbances should lessen. If you have a priest or religious leader, you should also let them know what is happening to you. Many of them will pray with you, and 2 people praying for the same thing at the same time is much stronger than 1 person praying on their own. In Christianity, Jesus says in the Bible, Matthew chapter 18, verse 19, "And I tell you more, whenever 2 of you on earth agree about anything you pray for, it will be done for you by my Father in heaven." That seems to contain a guarantee. Bear in mind when the disturbances start to lessen that nothing else could have caused it. Did you move house and they stopped? Did you stupidly agree to the devil on something and they stopped? Or was it truly down to prayer? You may have fallen into danger and you've hopefully escaped. You may fall into danger again. Look back at what happened. When did you treat someone differently to how you would want to be treated? Notice it and don't do it again. You can end up in hell with no means of escape. That comes about when you agree to something with the devil that separates you from God. Always make sure that when you are dealing with the devil, God is by your side. "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." From Psalm 23. I'll repeat this. There is a problem. If the attacks die down, why is this? Has the devil lost and given up, or has the devil won and all is lost? As St. Padre Pio says, if the devil makes an uproar, it is a sign that he is still outside us and not within. What must terrify us is his peace and concordance with the human soul. Be thankful then that you are still under attack. If you are in a calm after the storm, it may mean you have lost, and what you lose on earth is also lost in heaven. So, how can he win? Again, Padre Pio. The enemy only overcomes the presumptuous. That is, those who exclusively trust in their own strength, making them fall into the most frightful abyss. Again, he's telling you to call on God. The trap set by evil can be extraordinarily tempting. The Bible verse John chapter 15, verse 13 states, "Greater love hath no man than this, that he lay down his life for his friends." This means that the highest form of love is when someone is willing to sacrifice their life for their friends. Therefore, anything that looks like this is tempting. Question it repeatedly. In the picture of the Light Brigade charging into the Valley of Death, they are risking their lives to save their friends. But in this case, the orders were interpreted incorrectly, and 335 horses and 118 men died of the 600 of each. Where were the devil's dealings in this disaster? You can also fall foul of evil if you believe you are doing something on behalf of God. Be absolutely certain, do not be arrogant. It is unlikely that God is asking you to do something. God is your friend. If you are under attack, he knows it and wants to help. But before any attacks occur, you can start your defenses. Is there a difference between lead us not into temptation and lead us away from temptation? Ask God to always be there when you're tempted by evil. And be thankful you're not an atheist. What should you take home? You are not alone, but the devil is speaking to you all the time. Feelings of inadequacy, feeling nothing goes right. Maybe it's his interference. God gave you free will. He can only help if you ask. Any time you feel overwhelmed, ask God to help. Or say, expecto patronum, and imagine evil being chased away by a lion. If it works, great. If it doesn't, remember that the devil doesn't want you to call on God. He doesn't want this to work. Try it again. There is nothing wrong with you. Do not accept his interference. Thank you.